So these are different steps that we do from invention to license. Kathy may talk about this more on Wednesday when she's here, so maybe I'll let her go over all of that. But what I wanted to really point out is that when we're looking at invention, and how we deal with inventions, honestly, at the university is there's one team at OTL of 2 people who handle almost every aspect of that invention, from its birth to whatever end it meets, whether that be, we pursue a patent, we're able to license it, or whether we decide to just let it go. And that team works with those inventors through all of these steps. So there's one person the inventor can come to and find out what's going on with their invention if they don't already know, or they can discuss the different aspects that they need to talk about the invention. The inventor's role in the process: we can't live without our inventors. They can disclose inventions to us, help us identify who to license to. We need them for patent preparation and prosecution. We can't do it without them. In the case of licensing, they can often hold visits for the potential licensees. And as I mentioned earlier, they sometimes are consultants to the licensees as well. There's a policy at Stanford whereby the researchers can consult 1 day per week. And I will say a lot of them take advantage of that. So instead of going through that, I'm just going to go through the startup illustration, since I'm quickly running out of time, of how we work typically. This is a very typical situation of working with startups at Stanford. So obviously we want to share on the upside, and we also want to help economic development, even though part of the mandate at Stanford isn't actually to do local economic development. Yes?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to consultancy,
Yes?
does Stanford take anything out of the
No.
consultancy?
No, we do not. We do not review their consulting agreements. We do not take a share of their consulting agreements. The only thing that is required, obviously, is when they enter a consultancy, they have to note that on their conflict of interest forms with the university, and the university reviews those, because we want to make sure there is a line between what they're doing at Stanford and obviously what they're doing with the company.
Any liabilities is themselves, no?
The liabilities are their own, yes. I think universities across the U.S. do this differently, but that is how we handle it. Conflict of interest issues are a primary concern. Again, going back to what we were just talking about, we want there to be lines between what they do at the university and what they do at the company. When we're negotiating the actual agreements, we do not negotiate with the inventors unless, in some cases, if they've left the university, but we still would prefer not to, because we are representing them because they are receiving a share of those royalties. And therefore, it's cleaner if they have a representative who negotiates with us on the licensing process. A lot of our startups take option agreements, and we'll talk about those more in the next slides, for 6 to 12 months first before taking the full license agreement. And most of them work with local VC firms, not necessarily ones in other places. Though I will say in the last year or two, our startups are being incredibly creative and going to alternative sources than just VCs for funding, such as foundations, companies. A lot of companies have their own venture arms now,